because I want people to know you don't have to give up. Yes, I wanted to give up. I wanted to give in. But what it did is it just changed my perspective of how I fight. You know, it changed my perspective on who I fight for and what I fight with. It grew me and my children up overnight. One dog bite can change. Like, people say something like this can happen overnight. It does.
Yeah.
At the blink of an eye.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Empower716 podcast. I'm your host, Rob Lowry, and this is a podcast dedicated to entrepreneurs, business owners, side hustlers, career shifters, those who are committed to growing their life and business in Western New York. And so I have for you today is MC Queen Solar, and she is from, I would say, she got a lot of titles, and I don't want to mess it up. I mean, community advocate, business owner, she does multiple jobs. And so welcome to the show.
Hi, my name is Queen Solar, and I encourage you to listen to Empower716 podcast all the time. Thank you for having me. I appreciate being on your show, your platform. I don't know if the world knows, but they're going to know today that you have a beautiful platform, a beautiful studio, and a warm welcome with that. Wow. And so thank you for having me.
Well, it is an honor. I always, over the years, you know, we always run into each other. And so when I see positive people out there doing things and you're like, oh, who is that? And I get a chance to see some of the things over the years that you do on social media and obviously boots on the ground in the community and the motivation you provide, empowering other people. And so kudos to you for that, because when you see great people doing great things, you want to give them their flowers while they're here, and at least publicly say that to them, because that means a lot.
Well, as a resident, a lifelong, I guess, lover of Buffalo, right? I only left for a little while. I tried to run away from Buffalo. I got caught up, had to come back home. I would say that I am an all-around artist, right?
Yeah.
And at one point in time, the community was calling me community's daughter, and, you know, Solar, the community's daughter. And I appreciated that, because our elders gave me that name for not being afraid to infuse my abilities, whether it was poems, songs, curriculum, you know, programming, into different areas of the community. And I started that at a very young age. Wow. I think I made history being the youngest Juneteenth board member. And, you know, when you think of that, it's like, what did I do to get there? I was like nonstop telling them what the youth need. And, you know, that earned me the name Community's Daughter. But most recently, somewhere in time, I grew up.
Yeah.
Right. And you grow up. So I'm looking for who's ever going to be the next Community's Daughter. But I would say I am deemed Queen. And when your elders call you and say, hey, Queen, you know, when your family call you and say, hey, Queen, you're like, oh, okay. So I better adjust my posture. But I think it becomes a point in time where I had to recognize, like you said, I do go in boots on the ground.
Yeah.
I don't mind advocating, and I don't mind asking questions, right? And I think that as royalty, as we are a royal people, there's a certain posture or a certain position that we're supposed to be in our communities, and one of them is boldness. So I've never looked at my people different either. So I think that's altogether, I've become a person in this community who doesn't mind standing up for it, you know?
Wow.
So that's who I am. I started at Power 96.5, which was WUFO, right? And growing up in that station, once again, I was very young. You figure 15 years old, first internship. By 18, I'm working in major radio. And I always look at the other side, because here I am, the receptionist, answering the phone. And one time I worked for KISS, right? So KISS 98.5, and I'm listening to Donnie and all of them on the other end. And I'm like, I want to do that. I want to be that. I want to talk to the world.
You've been doing a lot for the last year. There's a lot of things occurred in life. And I just want you to talk a little about that, and then you talk about your book as well.
Because that simultaneous thing happened, right? So in August, as I was in the latter season for Funk Fest of Buffalo, Jefferson, Friday Night Live, Slow Roll. I'm like in the height of all of this. I just had released my album, Regal Soul, right? Wow. So you're figuring the end of 2024 summer season, I was popping. So I was on fire. I had just did a video, like you can catch all of this, right? That Monday after a Sunday, I just, that Sunday I went away, got the hotel room. That Monday rolls around and here I am. I get bit in the face by a dog, my rescue dog.
Wow.
What I remember about that day, and I tell this repeatedly because people got to know that God still is alive, right? He's alive. He's risen. He's definitely not dead, right? I remember that when I saw my face, myself in a full-size mirror, all I know is I said I couldn't die. I literally went into shock, ran down the street, ran back to the house, waited for the ambulance. Thank God for my son being there when the incidents happened. The dog was hurt. And I like to make sure that I tell people that. So hurt people. So hurt dogs without the proper care, which I didn't know how to care for him at that time. He hurt me, but he was also my friend. So I know he didn't hurt me from a vicious
place. Yeah.
Right. And when he bit me, I feel like part of my body should have fell. Right? I should have fell to the floor. I should have went into this. Oh my God. I didn't. I think the strength that God has given me allowed me to stand strong long enough to get the help that I needed. Right?
Wow.
That journey began continuously getting the help I needed. And I think that's why now I can be called queen opposed to community's daughter, because I used to try to help everybody else. Right? And I didn't know how to ask for help myself. Right? So when this happened, I'm like, I don't have a choice but to ask for help. For one, in the beginning, my words were limited. My appetite was limited. So I have to call certain people for food, because I couldn't eat everything and everybody's food. I never could. Learning how to talk, right? So then you begin to think about not just talking, but you begin how precious your words are. So you can't talk to everybody. So you can't help everybody because now you don't have that. So in this journey, I had started writing a book back in June.
Okay.
But I thought it was going to be a workbook. I'm like, in the shadows of her praise, we're going to do a workbook. I'm a curriculum developer. Yeah. That's cute, right? And I just began typing, but my fingers had a mind of their own. And they began typing about something that I didn't know it still existed, which was this love story. Like, oh my God, I'm like Blanche in this world. Quit playing. I'm a golden girl for real. I'm not doing that, right. But I'll write for someone else to see that love experience. And I started writing about this fictional love story about Gabrielle, and I'll give you the characters, and Mr. Cold Spring. And they found love at an age and a stage where their families were, right? And when my publicist read it, talk about asking for help, I said, I just want you to look at it. She said, I'm not only going to look at it, we're publishing it.
Wow.
So the book came out in the shadows of her praise. And what I love about it is, guess what? The workbook made it in.
So you incorporated with it. Wow. So
it made it in. So you get a little bit of a good fictional story, but now you can relate it to how do you praise in your shadows? How do you acknowledge the things that you go through? How do you overcome it? I won't say everything about the dog bite. Did it make it into the book? You gotta get it to know, right? Get it. But the reviews have been from men and women that this book has helped them regain what it looks like to be vulnerable to love again, what it sounds like to be open for love again. And then in the midst of all of this, it became a reality for me.
Wow.
Like I thought I knew love. No, I knew what an unsaved person thought they know. Like I'm just going to do this, right?
Yeah.
But when I really surrendered all during this time, wrote the book and told God, I had already told him, like, I promise you I'm going to serve you. Since 5/14/2022, I'm here for you. May 14th, when that happened, I was boots on the ground then. I'm out there singing, dancing, hugging, praying, right? But I promised him I would serve him. And with that servitude, I didn't ask for a husband. I just said, let me get a team.
Give me a team.
Just give me a team.
Need some help.
I need a little help. I want this thing that you gave me to work, but I need a team. Yeah. And what he did is he not only gave me a good covering of sisters and aunties, that I rock with now, but he gave me a great man in my life to show me that Mr. Cold Spring can be a reality and that they still exist. So a lot of women always tell them, stop saying what you don't need. You know what I mean? So let me be the example. Your heart don't have the heart. And then that's what you find in the shadows of a praise.
That's powerful. This morning I was listening to a sermon and it resonated with me, and it kind of goes to your experience back in August. And the sermon was about like perspectives of being a survivor or a victim. And the thing that resonated with me, he was saying that people with wounds are still healing, right? And then the process then gets you to the scar. And he says people who live in peace are okay with showing their scars because there's an indication that there was a wound there before. And I was like, wow. And he's like, people perception of like, when you are living in peace, you're able to forgive, you're able to be, vulnerable with your scars and basically have a testimony out of it. And so I immediately thought about this conversation. I was like, wow, that is just so, because watching you and your resiliency, your faith, because a lot of people will close up. A lot of people will hide. This is the end of it. How can I recover from this situation? And I know that it's a process to heal. So I know that it wasn't like an overnight thing.
Vulnerability came for me in Cast Iron on Missions, where I wrote about all the abuse and all that stuff, I've been through. So that book, I showed that I was a little bit resilient, but like you said, I was still healing. My scars were actually not showing. When this happened, I can't hide the scars that came from it. But the night I came home from the hospital, there is a new book coming out called Trauma. So make sure you support me. Wow. Okay. And every night I was writing poetry. So on, June 17th at Empty Cup Coffee, over at 80 Oak Grove, 7 to 9, I get a Tuesday to myself, uninterrupted, where I'll be reviewing some of the inserts out the book. Okay. I'll be sharing some of the music. DJ King Shot, which is one of my producers, will be there with me as well. And Trauma, I get to share the poems from that as a result of what it looks like every day after you heal. Wow. What does it look like every day after you heal? It was like my journal entry. So I'm going to produce it into a book coming into the fall, because I want people to know you don't have to give up. Yes, I wanted to give up. I wanted to give in. But what it did is it just changed my perspective of how I fight. It changed my perspective on who I fight for and what I fight with. My weapons are not carnal as it is. Yeah. So therefore I'm using them differently, and it grew me and my children up overnight. One dog bite can change. Like, people say something like this can happen overnight. It does. Yeah. At the blink of an eye, my children had to grow up. So for me this season, it's transparency. And I believe that God is showing his hand. He's revealing, your talents are revealed. Your loved ones are revealed. Your scars are revealed. I may put on makeup, but you still see me coming. Yeah. And it's also the revealing of what we're supposed to do, so that we have to walk in it boldly, especially in our community. We have to. So I feel like God trusted me with a dog bite to say, let me show you what I want next. So I got accepted in the UB most recently, and I'm going to go on and go into the computer science program and get back in the classroom and stay in a lane that I love, which is education, because I am a curriculum developer by degree, but I'm also that by education, because a lot of the stuff you've seen me doing, I created the curriculum, but then I just get on the other side quickly and be like, let me host that.
I love it. I love that how God is using you.
Thank you.
Because I think, in the midst of things, especially in this climate that we live in, and especially in the city of Buffalo, sometimes the light can be dim sometimes in people's lives. Getting back out there. So like the summer is about to kick off, it's just like going right back into it. And so I see, you can read people's energy. Like, when you have a lot of stuff on your schedule, but it's something about when you love what you do. And just how's that feeling just to get back out there?
It's very encouraging, because in the beginning I felt like I just dropped everybody. Yeah. I was like, I'm so sorry the dog bit me and I can't complete the season. And they're looking at me like, you rocked and rolled all season and you're calling, or texting. So for me to get back out there, I feel like I'm back with my people. Yeah. I feel like I'm able to give more energy, more of what God gave me, because that's really what I bring. I'm bringing that energy and I learned that over the years. I was like, I don't know why they give me the mic. They just give me the mic because I have fun. Right. But I've also made a stance in my life. If it's not fun, I'm not doing it. Yeah. Take a solar moment. You can reach me on all platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, probably a couple of pages out there for that. Mm-hmm. And also visit my website at www.takeasolarmoment.com. And just in case you have some listening needs, you can also download my album, MC Queen Solar Regal Soul, on all platforms as well. But if you go to my website, it's all there. Not only that, but you can catch me starting in June on Fridays. I'll be down on Jefferson Ave for Friday Night Live, taking it to the streets in August, Funk Fest in August, and every Monday, get your bikes ready, because Slow Roll is, and so the season started in May, Cinco de Mayo, as a matter of fact, down at Shays. So I just want everybody to get healthy, get live, because in order to be a rebel, you have to also be in shape.
So I just want to thank you again for coming on. Well, this is another episode of Empower716. Thanks for listening.